What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope you're all doing well. Sheets will be back Thursday, and I'm flying solo until then for the baseball shows. We'll be live again at 5:30 Eastern time. We got a good slate tonight. I actually did okay on DraftKings last night. It was like sort of like had some chances, didn't quite get there. Little bit frustrating. Had one swipe at taking a shot at the big one, but it happens. It's hard to have guys hit home runs right when you need them to. And did not do well on Oh no, I did okay on FanDuel. I basically broke even over there. So that was my night. We're on to another one. Hopefully we can do a little bit better. Anyway, a couple of things. I did want to remind everybody, code finals 2025 for 33% off your first month. I just want to remind everybody what we have as a package. I have to do this every day when I start. Look, we've got all the pay dirt tools. We've got all the SaberSim tools. That alone is an incredible package, not to mention Sheets and Goldie's projections, which are incredible. Look at what Sheets has done. The guy's become like the best player in the world and has done just an incredible job. So I would trust those things. I also think that my content is just literally saying exactly what I do every day, for better or worse. That's what I do, mostly for better. But my style of play is very, very risky, and I'm going to lose most days, and then when I win, it's going to make up for those days. Also wanted to mention Rody has got his playbook out every day for us. Make sure to check that out. He usually gets it in around 5:30 or so. We also have the Brandon Cruz for NASCAR, which is basically all behind the paywall. So we got a really good team, and we're barely charging more than SaberSim for all of this stuff. We hope you guys will take a look, and we do have the trials running. The new site we're getting done, and like I said, in the next 2 weeks, we expect to have that finished. All right, let's get into today's slate. We'll talk through it and decide what we want to do. All right, and all right, we're gonna go game by game here, and starting with Tampa Bay and Boston. I'm gonna double check the weather actually, because I looked, but it was so early. There wasn't even weather reports out yet when I first looked. I just got up very early today, so my schedule's a lot off. I had more time to prepare, but yeah, it looks like it still looks all right. Nothing that seems to be of concern. I will mention any good hitting weather as I see it pop up. That's that. So we're going to start off with Tampa Bay, Boston, and look, it's a little better than yesterday, 65 degrees, and again they got there thanks to extra innings. A lot of extra inning games yesterday. Not sure in the end whether it helped me or hurt me. It certainly was interesting. But it is what it is. I didn't have a ton of the Tampa Bay Boston games, so that was not great. But look, it's 65 degrees, but the wind's blowing out a little bit today. It is 90% humidity. The ball should still carry pretty well. So you have a situation here where this Red Sox team, it started to look like it early on that it was going to be Shane Baz with a big night. He didn't get there. My guy Pepio has started pitching much better. I think he's interesting a little bit tonight. Against a Red Sox team that I believe is third in the league in strikeouts against right-handed pitching. That's kind of surprising, pretty unusual for Red Sox teams in general. We should have Roman Anthony, which is exciting in the lineup. Now, I don't mind if you want to take the other side of this and say that both Boston and Tampa Bay, I think, are completely viable. Giolito, again, we know that Giolito is a high range of outcomes, wide variance pitcher. I think he has to be in consideration as well. These are not the 1 and 2s, but these are the guys who we might want to filter in and hope we get the ceiling performance. He got mashed in his last start. Wasn't great the one before that. Really good before that. A couple starts back before that, he was really good. He's just a little bit all over the map. You kind of want him against righties. You don't have a ton of righties in this lineup, but I think there's enough upside for both these pitchers to make the list, and for all four of these. For Boston and Tampa Bay to make the list as potential teams to use today. So we've got Pepio, we've got Giolito as let's call them C options, C plus, maybe B options. We'll decide once we go through each of the games. Washington at New York. And any questions or thoughts, feel free to pop them on in the chat. Feel free to also say hello. I'm just going to be going through everything. All right, so Washington and New York. It is. I'm just double checking the weather there. Sorry, I'm a little off to a sluggish start today. 73 degrees, a little bit of wind blowing out, potentially a little bit of rain. I don't know what. Like I know he was He was excellent against it in his last start against the Dodgers. I made a lot of money stacking on him in the previous start against the Dodgers, a couple starts before that. He'd been lit up 2 out of his last 3 starts. He did, again, pitch great against the Dodgers. I don't want to play Griffin Canning on this slate if I don't have to. He is going to be popular. He's on my list. Maybe we use the guys in the game before as a pivot off of semi-Canning chalk. It's a tough matchup for Mackenzie Gore. I am not going to be playing any of the hitting, I don't think, in this game. I was open to the really contrarian Nats, but it's probably a little bit too big a slate for me to go that direction. I'm considering it. It's not my first thought, but I don't have as much respect for Canning as the field seems to. I love Mackenzie Gore as a pitcher. I believe he still leads the league in strikeouts, right? So I think Gore is a viable option, even against a very, very good Mets team that is not fun to pitch to. It's really the top 5 in the lineup that you're afraid of. But you do have Soto in there, lefty, but he's still, whatever. It's not just about it's how efficiently can Mackenzie Hughes get there. He's also so expensive. So again, nobody makes the priority list for me here, but I'm considering a contrarian. Let's just say if I end up with some Nats in the Sims, I'll roll with it. In my hand builds, I probably don't get there, but I'm not going to say no to a 3-man stack. All right, Fried in Kansas City. Fried, for what it's worth, we have the reputation of not having enough strikeout upside. He's actually been much, much better than I think people would realize unless they look through the game log. Shown a lot more upside with the strikeouts this season. Now, you don't have a team that's ideal to pitch to for strikeouts on the other side, but Fried is certainly on my list. Only a 5.1. Wow, that's very, very low. And then I think you have to consider some Yankees. Noah Cameron, young lefty, got some talent, but he's also, I think there's some upside and some downside for him. I don't think he's going to be able to throw enough pitches. This Yankee team is patient enough to where probably you can't use him here. I'm curious to see the ownership on the Yankees. I have a feeling it's going to be very low, and I think we should take advantage of the Yankees at times like this. So the Yankees are going to right away be a team that I'm looking at. Just young pitcher, make him throw a lot of pitches, and let Judge and all the other guys do the damage. It is a lefty, and you do have, what do we have? We have Bellinger, who will be in the lineup, most likely Ben Rice. We're assuming he's in, Jazz Chisholm, and Wells. I don't know if all those guys make the lineup today, but that is 4 lefties against Cameron, which makes me like it a little bit less. I still think it's pretty viable, though, to get a Yankee stack in. And for what it's worth, 87 degrees in Kansas City. I think this Yankees thing might be a real thing we have to look at as a potential pivot off of some of the chalkier spots that we'll get to a little bit later today. Later this morning. Atlanta and Milwaukee. Grant Holmes and Quinn Priester. Am I missing something about the Grant? I felt like his projection seemed a little higher than I thought it was going to be, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. Is that even the case? Let me just see something. What am I looking at here? I've got the wrong thing. Oh, there it is. I don't love Grant Holmes. It is Milwaukee, who we've seen struggle at times with both righties and lefties, to be honest. But I'm kind of, I'm just kind of meh on it. He's, he's 7,900. He fits into a similar category as a lot of the other guys. I haven't found a pitcher that I feel that we haven't found one yet that we're going to say is like a clear, we have to play this guy kind of a situation. But I am kind of interested in going back to Atlanta here. I don't think Priester is that bad, that bad. I don't think he's that great either, and he's not somebody I'm afraid of stacking against. You get a really low-owned Atlanta stack that's pretty affordable. I mean, considering where we've seen Atlanta in the past, I think it's interesting. So Atlanta, we'll call them a tier 2 stack, but behind the Yankees. But I certainly think that they're viable to take a shot on against Priester here. And probably could have scored a lot more last night, which would have been helpful for me. Just left some runners on and some big spots. All right, we've got Molly and Woods Richardson here. I'm going to look at the expected strikeouts. 4.9. Yeah, it's just not a ton of upside seemingly from either of these guys. 81 degrees in Minnesota. You don't see that every day. I guess in the summer it's a little different, but I'm used to the early season when we were talking about like 45-degree weather there. Yeah. If you want to tell me that we see Texas break out here, I'm okay with it. But I just don't think there's anything that's going to be a priority for me in any way. This game just is almost like it's not really like happening. is the way I'm looking at it. Look, Texas, if you want to tell me Texas, fine. If you want to tell me Molly, fine. If you want to tell me Woods Richardson, fine. If you want to tell me Minnesota, fine. None of it stands out to me. None of it is bad. Texas is maybe the most interesting part of that, is maybe a tier 2 stack, probably, or tier 3 stack, probably behind the Atlantas and the Yankees. All right, we're going to jump over to Toronto and St. Louis. I mentioned it last night. St. Louis doesn't strike out a ton, as we saw with what looked like a good, I thought it was an interesting FanDuel play to play Barrios at 0.8%, which I did. And he had the one strikeout. He did get the quality start and looked like he was in line for the win. But then, of course, that game got tied late and they went into extra innings, so it didn't get there. Bassett is another one of these tier 2-ish pitchers, and ranking these guys is really, really hard for me right now. I'm struggling with it. I don't think I can play Mikolas. I also not really interested in the bats in this game. If you wanted to take a shot with Toronto, no issues, but just not really a priority for me in any way. It is nice and warm, as it is most places today in St. Louis. So if you wanted to argue stacks, sure, just not for me. At least not what I'm trying to get to. We'll see what SaberSim gives me, and then I'm going to make my tweaks after we're done over there. All right, we've got McCullers and Shane Smith. And look, if it was a smaller slate, and maybe I'm even wrong saying that, Shane Smith has been really good to me the 2 or 3 times that I've played him. I got him against Detroit, Miami. Shane Smith is not – he's got to be the best White Sox pitcher, right? And McCullers – while I like him, this is mega chalk we're looking at here. Definitely the guy you feel the most safe because he's playing the White Sox when you first look. But I mean, if he's going to be a mega chalk, do we want to eat it? I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it. I am going to change his projection closer to what Goldie has him at, because I think that's a little bit more accurate. Again, if I can lower where I feel like there's something a little bit chalky, just makes even more sense to me. I don't really have a ton of interest in the hitting in this game. Again, you could argue for a cheap Houston stack, maybe use them as side pieces. The White Sox bullpen is garbage if you get past Smith, but no priorities there. And here we have the game everyone's going to be on. We have Harrison and Carson Palmquist. It's I don't know exactly how we're supposed to deal with this, because it's going to be incredibly chalky for a huge slate. I mean, I do know how you're supposed to. We're supposed to try to ignore some of it. There is some pinch hit risk, I guess, especially at the bottom of the order for San Francisco. They're affordable for Coors. They have a 7-run total. It's 81 degrees with the wind blowing out. So here's my take. Look at these ownerships. I just don't think you can be a profitable player and play these types of ownerships. I'm not doing it. No San Francisco 5-man stack. So we'll just go to this real quick. I'm not saying I'm going to cross them off, and generally team stacks, we'll go for 5-man. We are going to make sure we have 0 San Francisco 5-mans. It's just so hard to profitably play that. Now, maybe if you start off early and you have a 3-man Yankees stack and you're playing it with something else, and all your guys get there, maybe then you can switch over to San Francisco on the late swap or something. But I'm going to say 0 5-mans. I won't cross off the general stacks, but I definitely want to, if I'm going to play them, I want it to be a little bit, at least a 4 or less type of thing. So the interesting part to me is that I think you could make a case for Harrison, and I think you could make a case for the Rockies. I think I'm more interested in the Rockies as a low own something to do. They're so bad. It's so hard to just say, okay, big slate, let's go play the Rockies. They're in Coors, good hitting weather. They're going to be low owned. I think Colorado is extremely viable, even with this garbage lineup. I feel gross saying it, but and I actually like Harrison better than most guys do. Let's just see if he has any. I mean, we're in division here, so we'll take a quick look and just double check Kyle Harrison's BVP. All right, and just to see if there's anything that we could take. I don't know if he's had that much experience with them, because he's obviously hasn't pitched very long. But so it's a very small sample size. Nothing really to take from it. Most of it's just McMahon and Doyle, and I don't even know that they're going to be in the lineup tonight. So yes, I don't think it's all that relevant. It's slowing down on me again. damn you. This is what happens. I try to go through it and keeps freezing up on me. I don't get it. Am I frozen for you guys? Okay, there, I'm back. All right. Anyway, I like Colorado as a pivot stack. Obviously, San Francisco is your chalk. I mean, you're probably just doing that in every cash lineup, in every lineup that's already hit. If you want to pivot over there, sure. Just not going to be any 5-mans for me. A's and Angels. This is I actually like this Angels offense a little bit in general. We have a bullpen game for the A's here, and yeah, I don't think that steals are something I'm going to factor in anything on that with Harrison. I actually don't even know that that's accurate. I don't know what a lot is. Like, give me the number per start, Adam, because I don't really, I don't have that strong memory, and it depends on who you're facing. Like, I don't know. I sometimes the steals thing, we're getting carried away on 12 game slates if we're thinking too much about it, I think. But I guess if you're trying to stack a low owned team, it's whatever helps, whatever anything like that can matter. So we've got the bullpen-ish game of the A's. And then we've got Soriano on the other side. This feels like a game you can target, and maybe at 8:30 Eastern time, you can switch off or onto core stacks and maybe onto this. I do feel like this is an interesting place to go. The ownership should be fairly low. I think that I kind of like the A's, and I think I prefer the A's. I don't love stacking against bullpen games, but this Angels team is a little too cheap probably. Boy, what a catch last night. That was an absurd play by Cameron. I mean, it robbed my guy Chanel, so I was kind of frustrated, but it was hard to be. It was like one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my life. A's and Angels, we'll call them just slightly tier 2 lineups. But I think they're both totally in play today. Seattle at Arizona, and we have the roof closed, as we know, for the next couple of days because it's 5 million degrees in Arizona. We've got Fott and Logan Evans. I don't think this is like the gold mine that maybe I just feel like everybody sees Arizona and they want to play it. The SaberSim's got this total much higher than the actual total. I'm curious to see what do we have. We have no ownership though. Okay. So yeah, I certainly prefer the Diamondback side of this. Logan Evans has been really good in a couple of his starts this year. There is some hype around him being a decent pitcher. I think Arizona is a really good stack. So I actually think Arizona goes in the tier 1 category for me today. And I am going to put in the tier 2 category Seattle. That's pretty much what I have here. I think that at low ownership, I know they're expensive, but talk about a team that can outscore Coors. They do it all the time. I really like the idea of they're just hard to get in with the pricing and everything. And by the way, still haven't found pitching to really love on this slate. And this is where I just feel like it is today. There's just no pitching to be obsessed with. All right. I do have a take here. Like, okay, so maybe this is I think you should have some C's exposure in your large field stuff for sure. Probably even your small field stuff, just because he's got a high ceiling because of the strikeouts. Now, I personally, the Dodgers have hit against C's. I mean, it's not a huge sample size, but they've completely crushed him, including in the playoffs. You're going to get a 0% on Dodgers. I actually think for the lottery, you should be playing the Dodgers. And then we've got, basically what I think will turn into a bullpen game for the Dodgers. San Diego against a bullpen game. Any interest? Maybe a little bit. I mean, this game can put up some runs. It's not great hitting weather in San Diego. It's 65 degrees. At least the wind's blowing out, but it's not much. So the Dodgers as a contrarian, we'll throw in to the mix as a tier 2. San Diego will throw in the same mix as a tier 2. So McCullers looks like the best play from a pitching standpoint. This is sort of my little sum up here. But it goes to show you there's really not, like, for a big slate, we don't have great. I mean, McCullers and Canning. McCullers is still like 5 starts removed from coming back from a huge injury, maybe 6 or 7 now by now. Maybe the right thing to do is actually just try to play the Mackenzie Gore and hope for the ceiling. You could say the same thing about C's, but I think Mackenzie Gore is better, is the better play. And I am probably going to play the McCullers just because we don't have a ton of options. I mean, look at these projections. We have nobody near 20. They're all sort of similar. Maybe Max Fried, that might be a thing we could do. I think I probably end up with more Fried and more. I'll probably force in some Gore. And I think Pepio and Giolito, going back to that first game, well, I think both stacks are in play. I think they're both, they're interesting pivots at low ownership. And when everybody's looking so similar, sometimes I'm just going to side with the guys who are a little bit, a little bit lower owned. I'm going to change the projections for pitching. Now, this is what I do. I usually go with roughly Goldie's projections on the pitching, or Sheets's, depending on, Sheets is obviously gone, but I hate moving up on Holmes. I don't love Holmes today, so I'm gonna leave that one similar. I'm gonna go down on Canning. I actually don't agree. I think there's plenty of downside for Canning today. I don't like this. I'll go a little down there, and we'll go a little bit up on Fried. We'll go a little bit up on Mackenzie Gore because the ceiling is high. But again, we're just going sort of trying to match Goldie's, but I'm doing my own thing on a couple of them. I think this Harrison thing is probably a little ambitious. We'll go close. We'll go basically the same as Goldie's. Shane Smith, I agree. I'd like to get a little bit higher on him. Maybe we make it 13.4, sort of split the difference between the two. And I do agree with Goldie on this one. I think Pepio has some upside here. Oops, God damn it. Pepio, and we are going to make him where Goldie has him at 13.8. I actually could argue for going a little bit higher. I think the same for Fott. I don't think we're going to get to much of them, but I'm just throwing it out there. And then we've got I think there's upside for Sorry. I didn't mention that before. I think I'm going to end up with some garbage-ish pitchers because I'm not garbage, but just guys who Sabersim has got way different projections than Goldie does today. And I really like Goldie's the idea of getting different within Sabersim. So I'm just sort of matching some of these things. It's a good thing for all TrueDFS users. Now, they do change throughout the day, so you're going to have to go back and do this again, but it's worth it, I think. Logan Evans, I'm not going to get to him anyway, but we'll just drop that number closer to where Goldie has it. All right, Noah Cameron. I'm not going to be playing a ton of it, but so that's what I've got there. We'll build some lineups, and then I'll probably get out of here. But for what it's worth, is I'm Yankees, Rockies, and Arizona I have as my main stacks, with the Dodgers, the guys I'm considering, Dodgers, Padres. Who else do I have here? Texas, Boston, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. But the main ones, Yankees, Rockies, Diamondbacks, just to be a little bit off the board. So let's see what Sabersim gives us. We only changed some of those projections a little bit, and I haven't added my stacks or anything like that, so we'll see what it says, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, Travis. Good luck to you. Cheers to everybody. Guys, please like and subscribe and all that stuff. And let's see if we can figure out. This feels like a hard slate, to be honest with you. San Francisco just stands out so much, but I cannot play this 70. It's just not going to happen. I can't do it. 30% owned stacks plus on these kind of slates. I just don't know how to do it profitably, especially if you're not max entering. If you're max entering, it's a little bit of a different story. You could sort of let it happen. But I still think the right idea is just never to play the mega chalk as your main stacks in baseball. Pretty much ever. There's almost no situations you run into where it's like the right thing to do. And by the way, San Francisco, it not only comes with pinch hit risk, you also have a team that doesn't have a tremendous amount of power. So even if they score runs, they can do it in a less pleasing way, sort of a Tampa Bay-ish way of, you get the singles and doubles. It's not as much fun. Tampa Bay, though, has been in some quite the shootouts lately, I've noticed. All right, so let's see what they're giving us with the Sims. This is before the Sims, giving us all the Gore. And then hitting wise, oh, they're loving the Atlanta. Okay, all right, I can sign off on that one. Let's see where we end up. And I'm wondering, because I haven't changed any of the hitters or anything like that. I really do think the Dodgers, I wish it was a smaller slate because I think we could still get them at low ownership against C's. And I think that they absolutely match up incredibly well with Dylan Cease, and it's not just proven by the numbers. Like, you know, you got the hard throwing right-hander who's a high strikeout pitcher, but when the ball is put in play, they put it in play hard. The Dodgers don't strike out that much, and they have a ton of power. Also, you can run on Cease. To add to what Adam was saying earlier about the other one. So I sort of dismissed it. Sorry, Adam. I shouldn't have dismissed it so much. And yeah, I think this is let's see what it gives us here. Oh boy, you see how long it's taken to process today. Why? That seems like a very low max destination ROI. Okay, so let's see what we've got, what we ended up with after the sims. And just to let you know, like there's 2 in the 888, 2 in the 250, the 121, a couple in the 44, and then the rest are like lottery and the $4 or whatever. So yeah, Gore, Pepio, Soriano, McCullers, definitely getting different a little bit with the Pepio and the Soriano. I think that's very reasonable, though. I do think that getting overweight these. Oh no, I do think getting overweight these other situations makes sense. I don't know if I can show you my stacks because I think look at that without touching anything. Dodgers as the #1 stack. Let's go Dodgers. I'm in. Sign me up. Let's make it happen. And but the main ones again for me: Yankees, Rockies, Diamondbacks. But I'm totally in on the idea of taking some long shots to the Dodgers. I will play them in the lottery at no ownership. Oh, interesting. Okay, here's the question, Adam. You're saying he's 10th in again when steal attempts against. What numbers is that based on? Because so you're saying per start, because that's too small a sample size. Is that this year or is that last year? He's only pitched what? This year he's pitched 8 times. Kind of hard to know what the steal attempts are like on 8 starts. But if you're telling me back to last year that continued, I'm totally open to it. And I'm looking at it right now. I don't have that information in front of me right now. So, but I mean, at the same time, we don't even know who's running for the Rockies, you know, like it's a little tricky. So per inning pitched. That's this year. Okay, well that's good to know. I usually have the pitchers memorized, but not like somewhat memorized. But I don't have Harrison's still new enough to where I don't have him. And then by the way, I don't hate this White Sox idea. I don't think I'm going to do it, but for the lottery, it's not going to be my high buy-ins. Same thing with Washington, but I do think those are reasonable lottery stacks. So that's where I'm at, guys. Want to wish everybody good luck today. I'll be live at 5:30 Eastern. And yeah, check out the packages. I think we've got some great deals going. And use the code FINALS2025 for 33% off your first month. Don't worry about the rate. Don't ever look at DK and think about anything with weather. Look up the Roth's weather report. Look at Roth's weather report. We cover it too. But Roth does the best job in the industry. And or whoever fills in for him, I guess as he's gone for a week, does a great job as well. So that's sort of a first look for you guys. We will have golf tomorrow. We have we have baseball, golf, and then we've got basketball tomorrow again too. So that should be a lot of fun. Good luck to everybody. I'm out of here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to the World Series of Poker for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to be doing some vacation-y things, which will be fun. So good luck to everybody today. Appreciate all you guys, and thanks to Adam for dropping in. Good luck to everybody, and